How long is a piece of string? That's usually my response when someone asks me how much tension needs to be in the cable and how much is it going to sag. So today we're going to try a few different weights. Still going to be the same span, but a few different weights of targets, so we can tell you with a 24-foot span, which is what we have above us here, how much tension do you need in a line based on, we'll say, 7-pound target, 9-pound target, 16-pound target, and a 20-pound target. And then we'll also put a scale up top and read the tension number to you, at least up until the point that our 600-pound hand scale maxes out. Before we get started, I want to show you a quick little trick. To know when your cable is tight enough, you're just going to crank it up to the point where you start to think it's tight enough. You're going to let it go, and if it doesn't roll to the center on its own, it's tight enough for that specific weight of object that you're shooting with. Now that we have the tension set properly in the cable, just for our cardboard target and piece of lumber, we're going to go over to the far side where we have a scale set up on the line, look at the tension in the cable, and then also put the target in the center and measure how much sag there is from the point over here on the far side. So we've got Thane right behind us here, just taking all the tension out of the cable so I can re-zero the setting on the scale, and we can go through and get all of our measurements. So if you saw the target today jumping up like crazy, like it was possessed, it's because we're on a super windy range right now. Somewhere in our back catalog of videos, there's a video that shows you how to put a low cable in about knee height. What that low cable does is it supports the target in high wind situations to keep it from blowing up and blowing down. We just measured our first target, cardboard target only, span 24 feet. To get the right cable tension so it doesn't roll to the center, it was only 64 pounds of tension, which is way less than I expected. We're gonna go ahead now, we're gonna measure the sag at the center point, and then from there we'll start moving up to heavier and heavier targets to give you those readings. So that is 117 centimeters. And I guess probably the easier way to do this is we're actually gonna just measure while it's at the far side here, how far down it is there, rather than us try to reach up the entire way. We're at 42.5. We go from 42.5 to 35.5. So what we're doing now is, this is a 9-pound target. We're gonna measure the tension at the 9 pounds and also measure the sag. So you can see here, compared to before, where the target was blowing in the wind, once you start shooting on steel, wind really becomes a non-issue, and that's why we don't always set up the low cable configuration. Not tight enough there, it's starting to roll on its own. Okay, perfect, so that's tight enough. 113. Okay, so we just finished up measuring the tension for the 9-pound, 33% IPSC target. Turned out to be 113 pounds of tension in the cable for the 24-foot span is correct. Now we're gonna go and we're gonna measure the sag. 43 there to 37. So you're looking at 5 inches total sag, 24-foot span at the 16-foot point in the center. So this is 12.6 pounds, I believe. It's just a gong, and hopefully we'll get the weight measure out of this before the scale on the end turns off. We haven't changed the cable tension at all, but now that we have more weight on it, the tension does need to go up for it not to roll to the center. So bringing it back now, we'll do a few cranks. You just want to get rid of all the drift so it doesn't move towards the center. That's kind of like the go-to telltale sign that you have it right. So, okay, 133 pounds, up from 113 with the smaller target. And that's a 12.6 pound gong, and we're just gonna measure the sag in the center now. Okay, so 43 again, hasn't changed. Bring it to the center, 37, so no change. And that kind of makes sense that it's still 5 inches of sag, no matter what weight we're using, because we're cranking the winch up to the same, you know, relative tightness each time. So even though the target is heavier, the cable has more tension, which is counteracting the extra weight. This is a 66% IPSC target. It's actually over the max weight of this system. I believe it is 21.5 pounds, and the system max is out on paper at least at 20 pounds. But we tried this the other day, and it actually works surprisingly well considering how far above the max weight it was. So bringing it back over to the side here. So that's the roll into the center I was talking about. Okay, so we have this set here now. I'm gonna go over to the end and measure the tension for us. But this is 21.5 pounds over the max weight of the system. We're gonna go check it out. 21.5 pound target. The tension in the cable is 168 pounds right now. And we're gonna measure the sag currently. Far side was 42. We're now down slightly here to 35. So over the 23-foot span, only looking at 7 inches of sag in total. You see how it's bowing there? So we actually just had something weird happen there. It does happen if you're not paying attention. We had the far left earth anchor, which is holding the rigidity rearwards of the post, pull out of the ground. And it's really important to make sure that you're paying attention to those and that you have them in all the way. And what I told the guy who I just sent over to do it is that, you know, he asked him if it was good, and he said, yeah. I said, okay, well, would you bet your front teeth on it? Because you got to keep in mind, these cables get super tight, and if something snaps, it's going to come at you the same as if you were doing an extraction and you're pulling out a vehicle that's stuck or something like that. Cable snaps, it's coming flying, so don't put your face anywhere that you wouldn't be okay a cable flying and hitting. We should probably have eye protection on right now, but at the very least, don't stay in line with the cable. So just went through a 24-foot span, different target weights, different tension numbers. The rule of thumb we tell people is the biggest guy in your department should be able to take all of his weight and put it into that end post, and it shouldn't budge. If you do that, you'll have a post that is sturdy enough. And then the one other thing I want to give you to think about is that rear guy wire or that rear brace should be as close as possible to where the cable goes across at. Otherwise, you're getting a mechanical advantage and it's actually working against you. If you can get that rear guy wire all the way up to the top, you're giving no mechanical advantage to the cable. I'm Tyler Sangster from Dynamic Range X1. We've helped over 2,000 military units, police departments, and ranges upgrade their training by adding movement. If you want to give Thane a call, his number's on the screen. He can talk you through whatever setup might be required to make our moving target systems work on your ranges.